To the Sunday studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. We are Student Loan Justice. I'm going to cut right into it tonight, guys. I want to keep this kind of short. Tomorrow, we are calling the Senate. Everybody, including you, is calling both of your senators, even if you already called them, calling them again. Asking them, no, telling them in the strongest possible words that you can get away with on the phone to the Senate, co-sponsor S2598. This is key, guys. Whether this bill passes or not probably will determine whether we get meaningful loan cancellation or not. I hope you want loan cancellation, or maybe you just want bankruptcy. Maybe you just want to break on your interest. Well, all of those things become possible with the threat of bankruptcy on our side. Without it, we're not going to get nothing. So be ready tomorrow. Go to our website. You can see the link. Get a jump on it right now, right there. That thing, the blue thing, right there, the blue thing. Go to the blue thing. All the phone numbers are there. Make it happen. We need you. So tonight, I'm going to talk about lies, and more lies that are in, through, and around the student loan industry, the whole student loan thing. So I almost don't know where to begin. I could be here literally probably about 5 hours talking about lies, but I'm going to keep it quick, terse, and pithy. So let's start with maybe the first big lie. The big lie that we are told is that student loans are good debt. So for years and decades, even now today, people selling these student loans say, oh, people who went to college on average earn $1 million more over their lifetime. That's a lie. Maybe it was true 20 years ago. I don't think it's true today. Everybody walking around right now with a college degree, the fact that they went to college does not cause them to earn $1 million more over their lifetime. It does not. Here's the trick being played with that particular lie. If you go and take a poll of 1,000 people and you say, and they're past their working years, and you go, how much did you earn? Okay. Do you have a college degree? Okay. Maybe you would find that indeed the people with the college degree earned on average $1 million more. But if you take that very same poll, very same people, and say, did you take polo lessons? I would bet you $10 that the people who took polo lessons, or maybe who played lacrosse, or maybe people who took sailing lessons, they probably earned $4 to $5 million more than people who did not take lacrosse lessons or sailing lessons or polo lessons. So the logical inference is that going to college will make you earn more money. And I'm sorry, folks, that just is not true. The $1 million more is just puffery. I'm not saying college has no value. I'm sure it probably does, but this $1 million nonsense is ridiculous. So that's kind of a stupid lie, kind of a fun lie. Here's some of the more serious lies. So if you go to your college, even today, any college, pick a college. Let's just say an average college, average 4-year college, whatever. And you go onto campus and take a campus tour. On that tour, if you ask them this question, what percentage of your students default on their loans? You know what they will say? They will say, oh, our default rate is low. It's about 6%. They'll say something like that, 6, 5, 4%. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is fraud. Because what they are telling you is the cohort default rate, which only counts loans that default in the first couple of years after graduation. The true default rate, the lifetime default rate for those colleges, you need to take whatever number came out of the side of their necks, and you have to multiply that by probably 4, if not 5, if not maybe even 6 or 7 these days. Defaults have become so cataclysmically commonplace. That's a pretty big lie. I could talk about omissions as well, but let's keep it to just the straight up lies. And by the way, if you have a question or a comment, throw it out now so that I can see it, and I would be very happy to respond. Like, for example, do you have any examples of lies that you've been told? I'm sure a lot of people have some input out there. So here's another lie. The people selling these loans also say, oh, federal student loans are far more safer, friendlier, and benign than private student loans. They have more consumer protections than private student loans. That is a lie. That is a bald-faced piece of fraud there. I have seen student loan advocates testify before Congress saying that federal student loans have more consumer protections than private student loans. That's perjury. Let's look at the first order matrix, shall we? Private loans have statutes of limitations. Private loans are fall under the Truth in Lending Act. So Truth in Lending laws, private lenders have to follow for fully private loans, not federal loans, for fully private student loans. Private student loans have to abide by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Private loans have to abide by state usury laws. Those are all consumer protections that exist for private loans, but don't exist for federal student loans. Federal and both loans don't have bankruptcy. That's the big one. Federal student loans are immune from the Truth in Lending Act. Federal student loans are essentially immune from fair debt collection practices. When the collection company is a nonprofit, which they usually are, usually they're guarantors, they do not have to follow the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Federal student loans have no statutes of limitations. Private loans do. Federal loans are immune from state usury laws. In fact, I would have a hard time even naming a consumer protection that exists for federal student loans. So there's another lie for you. Hey, we have a couple comments here. By the way, if you have any questions, I already said, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. If you're watching us on Twitter or YouTube or our Discord or our other platforms, if you want to make a comment, you need to come talk to us on Facebook. That's the only way that I am going to see them. So do that for now. We may expand that at some point, but put link in, please. Yeah, Daniel, I'm not doing that. Not right now. I'll do it later. Maybe. But these are all provable lies. Consumer protections, absolutely astonishing. So here's some other lies. People against loan cancellation like to say, oh, canceling student loans will benefit the wealthy. And they point to some sort of statistics showing that like graduate students hold a slightly outsized portion of the debt. That's ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, 100% of all federal student loan borrowers were financially needy as a precondition for getting the loans. Wealthy people don't take out student loans. They don't have to. 40% of everybody who goes to college never graduates. So are these the wealthiest among us? I don't think so. In fact, I know not. Also, even before this pandemic, 80% of all borrowers were not able to pay their loans down. They were either in default, forbearance, deferment, or otherwise delinquent. They were, or they were paying and paying and paying. Their balance was going up, not down. Does that sound like a wealthy class of people to you? Doesn't sound like a very wealthy class of people to me. We also know that the class of 2004, that is people that left college in 2004, their default rate is 40%. And the class of 2004 was only borrowing about a third of what is being borrowed today. So the default rate for everybody walking around with student loans, even before the pandemic, it was going to be 70, 75%. It was going to be an incredibly high percentage. The subprime home mortgage default rate, by the way, was 20%. So we are like more than triple that now. Does that sound like a problem that wealthy people have? Do wealthy people rush out and default on their student loans? I don't think so. So whatever nonsense they're pointing to is exactly that, nonsense. And here's maybe the cruelest thing about that. Older people hold the majority of student loan debt. People over 35 outnumber people under 35 with student loans, and they owe 3 times as much. People over 50 outnumber people under 25 with student loans, and they owe 3 times as much, despite having borrowed. People over 50 did not borrow that much for college in the 90s or 80s or 70s. So, but the cruel truth is that people over 50, yeah, they tend to earn more money than people under 25. That's just kind of how the world works. So these people, the people who are earning the most money, are being hurt the worst by these predatory, unconstitutional student loans. But our opposition in the swamp, they would just love for you to believe that everybody with student loans is a trust fund kid, a snowflake liberal at the Antifa march that you saw on Fox News. That's what they would have us believe. Big lie. I could talk about lies literally for probably the next 6 to 7 hours. If you have any lies that you particularly like, here's another cool lie. Joe Biden, before the election, he said, "I will eliminate your student loan debt if you went to a public college or university or an HBCU and you earn less than $125,000 a year." Joe Biden can cancel loans by executive order. He won. We voted for him. He won that election. Here we are after the election, and all of a sudden, he's all, yeah, I'm not doing that. That is a lie. It's not even a controversial thing that I just said. It's obviously a lie. So let's talk about a few more lies. Let's talk about the lie that the federal student loan system is costing the taxpayers money. Back in 2004, even before Obama federalized the program, the federal government was actually making a profit, not a loss, a profit on defaulted student loans. It wasn't making any interest on the loans because back then all the private banks owned the notes. But it turned out that the guarantors, Sallie Mae, others, they were actually returning more money to the Treasury every year than they took out. So the federal government was profiting on defaulted student loans. If you're a lender and you make a profit on your defaulted loans, then there is literally not any way at all, period, that you can be losing money. It is impossible to lose money as a lender if you're even making a profit on defaulted loans. Now, today, starting in 2010, the federal government federalized the entire lending system. So since 2010, they have been booking, maybe not realizing, but they have been booking over $50 billion a year in profit. Like interest alone on the federal debt portfolio is over $100 billion a year. So anybody who says that the taxpayers or the government or whoever have been losing money on this lending program is a liar, a provable lying liar. And that first thing I said about defaults being profitable, that probably sounds very hard to believe. And you think that I'm lying. Well, good person, I urge you, go to the White House budget, go to supplementary materials, go to appendix number 4, used to be, probably still is. Look at the recovery rates for all federally made or guaranteed loans. So this is like farm loans and veterans loans and FEMA loans and agriculture loans and all the different loans that the government makes, SBA loans, you will see the recovery rate for all those other loans hover maybe between like 8% and like maybe 30% at the highest. So in other words, on the dollar, the federal gets back somewhere between 8 cents and 30 cents on the dollar for their defaulted loans. Until you look at federal student loans, all of a sudden you see it go from 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, 13 cents to $1.22, $1.10, $1.05, over $1 on the dollar. So it is proven. Oh gosh, there's just, there's so many lies. I almost don't know where to begin. But I think I've told you enough lies tonight. So here's some truth. The truth is that if we do not get S2598 passed this session, I'm about 90% sure that we will not see any meaningful loan cancellation. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's a terrible thing to have to do. I don't want to file. You don't want to file. Nobody does. Bankruptcy sucks. That's the whole point of bankruptcy in many ways. Bankruptcy is not pleasant. You should do everything you can to avoid it. But not having the threat of bankruptcy will cause everybody in Washington, D.C. to do exactly what they have done for the past 20 years, which is nothing. They might say they're going to cancel loans. They're not going to cancel loans. Joe Biden might say, hey, look, guys, I'm canceling up to $10,000 in student loans. Oh, look, I'm canceling up to $50,000 in student loans. But by the time the swamp, the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. get through doing what they do, which is bureaucratize any loan cancellation program they might be put to them to death, Biden may say up to $50,000, and that's even kind of a long shot. But what he will mean is almost nothing for almost everyone. Yeah, we did up to $50,000 per person. You, however, because X, Y, and Z, you get $3,475. And oh, by the way, in the year that it took us to figure all this out, like $15,000 or $20,000 was added onto your loan in interest. So congratulations, you got your $3,472. That's what we're going to see. In the continued absence of the same bankruptcy protections that exist for all other loans. Bankruptcy is important. You don't want to file. I don't want to file. All of us have got to have this constitutional right back in our pockets. As the founding fathers called for, ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army and build a navy and create a judiciary and coin currency, ahead of all those things, the founders called for uniform bankruptcy laws, aka uniform bankruptcy rights. The founders were onto something, guys. You may like them, you may hate them, but they knew something about this. So the last thing I'll say tonight, well, I see a couple comments. Let me go through these comments first, and I'll wrap it up. Michael Jacobs is here with us tonight from the great state of Pennsylvania. I happen to know. We need to get Pat Toomey. I hope you're going to call Pat Toomey tomorrow, Michael. Pat Toomey could change everything for us. Who will take over Fed loan? What about PSLF? Is that going to improve Alan Collins? We'll see. Navient announced they were Fed loan announced they were pulling out. As did Navient, the two big guys. We'll see. Quite frankly, Nicholas, no one knows, including in Washington, D.C. Nobody knows what's going to actually happen. We saw Navient announce they were pulling out, and then the Department of Education extended their contract like a month later. So nobody in Washington, D.C. has a clue what to do because this lending system is dead. This lending system is a dead man walking. They are scared shitless to turn this lending program back on because they know what I know. Almost nobody is going to pay on their loans. Before this pandemic, less than half of borrowers were paying on their student loans. Today, almost nobody is. And come February 1st, if they have the balls to turn this lending system back on, which quite frankly, I'd say is about a 50-50, very few people are going to resume paying on their loans. This lending system is dead. There's this toxic, this can has become a toxic barrel of radioactive sludge, and it is not moving. It's not going anywhere. This lending system is rigor mortising. So I would be very reluctant to try and predict the future, even based on what we see the Department of Education say or do. Department of Education said they're going to cancel all these public service loan forgiveness loans, and I will believe that when I see it. Like they say that they're going to cancel the loans of 30,000 people. I don't think they've done that yet. I think they've done it for a few people. I know they have, but they haven't done it for anybody. And I happen to know that the Department of Education commits to doing things all the time, and then they never do it. So, don't look to me to speak for the lending system, because there is no speaking for it. Nobody has a clue what to do in Washington, D.C., least of all them. I know exactly what to do. Cancel all of these loans. Take this lending system to the bath and drown it in the tub and start over from scratch. That is the solution today of this problem. 5 years ago, maybe they could have gotten away with only returning bankruptcy rights, but that ship has sailed, ladies and gentlemen. This lending system is catastrophically, galactically failed. Hey, Noel says, I graduated 23 years ago, and it wasn't true then either about making $1 million more. Yeah, it's nonsense. They folded Bill Gates and like all these multi-billionaires into the mix. Yeah, they went to college. They didn't take out student loans though. Like their dad bought them into Harvard or Yale. And sure, because of the cajillion dollars that they earned through their trust fund or through their investments or whatever, yeah, that kind of raises the average pretty well. If you look at 1,000 student loan borrowers, we're not going to find that they earned $1 million more than average. We're just not. Maybe a little bit more. I'm not saying there's no value to college, but it certainly isn't $1 million more. Throw the trust fund kids throw the silver spoon kids who never took student loans out of that study, and we get something very different. So, okay, folks, that's it for me tonight. The very last thing I'll say, the most important thing I'll say, get ready to call your senators tomorrow. Both of them, even if you've already called them before, and especially if they are Republicans. If you have one or more Republican senators, when you call them tomorrow, everybody's going to calling all their senators tomorrow. When you call them, tell them to join John Cornyn, Senator John Cornyn, and join Senator Josh Hawley in co-sponsoring S-2598. They are Republicans, and Josh Hawley is a MAGA Republican. So that will carry currency. Use it. But again, I'll repeat for the last time tonight. Call both of your senators tomorrow. If you don't do it, you're a dick. These are your loans, and this is your problem, and we are the only group in the nation fighting for this legislation. If this legislation does not pass, we will not see meaningful student loan cancellation. We are the pioneers in this fight. You can't unhear that. You have a responsibility way over what you deserve, and you've got to live up to it. We are the pioneers. We are the tip of the spear. We are the spear. We are the eye of the storm. We are the storm. We don't push this. This bill doesn't pass. This bill doesn't pass. The loans don't get canceled. Loans or we don't get bankruptcy back either. And that'll be, I'm sorry, but it's your fault. People on our group, a lot of them are doing the hard work necessary. But that's probably less than 10% of our group. 9 out of 10 people on this group haven't done jack shit. And no more. It's pissing me off. It's pissing off the people who have been doing the work. It's not fair to us. We're not going to pull your weight for you. You got to put your own work in on this block. So call your senators tomorrow morning. Or else you're a dick. Okay, guys. Take this seriously. Let's make this week count. Good luck. I'll be back tomorrow night. Godspeed. And God bless.